So now let's move forward to our last guest. Joining us, coming from Inglewood, representing Theater by the Blind, we have Maliaka Mitchell. How are you doing today?
Yay! I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am amazing. This has been a really powerful moment. I don't know if you were able to hear the other guests' interviews, but when this is done, you need to listen. I'm chills right now. This has been one of the most beautiful podcast episodes I've ever done in my life.
Oh, wow.
And it just all comes from this right here, the rawness, the love. You really feel it. It's just a family discussion because you all are my family. Let's be real.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Well, luckily I couldn't see it at all. So, so blush away. I'm not judging. I did want to ask you though, for starters, how are you feeling with this unconventional format? How we're normally in a studio with microphones and now we're here in video chats across the country, world, state, city, existence.
Okay, well, it's like a bittersweet because yes, we're used to being around each other and, touching and talking to each other in person. So, I mean, that's the part that's, really kind of downside of it. But because of technology, we can still move forward. And, it opens up a whole lot of different new doors for us.
I guess that's the beauty of it all, is that nothing gets put on pause around us. Sure, things change, but nothing gets put on pause.
Right.
And so I guess that leads me to my next question, which is artistically, because I know you've been picking up the bass, how has music or art in general been helping you deal with this time?
Well, at any time, music is, a relief. You find solace in music. So, it's just as far as practicing and, I guess tuning into another outlet. I guess it's enhanced, but it's still the same. My routine is still the same. I've always just have to touch my bass. I have to touch it day in and day out. So it just, I don't know, it just makes it, there's no change in it. It just makes it, I guess, a little more sweeter. Now you get a little closer to my instrument,
Yeah, it really is a strange thing. And I've mentioned in the previous interviews that music, whether it's listening to or playing it, really heals all. I've been playing so much more guitar than I usually do when I already play a lot. So it's been real, and I guess
it's been enhanced. Like I say, it's a little more. Like I say, normally, I have to touch my bass. There's not a day go by that I do not touch it. I have to, but as far as an outlet, it just is. I guess it's more precious or more appreciated.
Yeah, appreciation is really key in these moments. I mean, Judy mentioned that she was writing a book now. Alan mentioned the self-discipline that comes with getting more time to practice than you've ever had. And so I feel like in this moment right now, we're really appreciating what we've got. And I wanted to ask one extra question, a little bonus question that I haven't asked anyone, because I work with you personally. For those of you who don't know, Maliaka and I are both going to be in an upcoming show called The Braille Legacy. Yours truly is really nervous about playing the lead, but hey, we'll get past it.
You can do it.
Can I?
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't be asking. I should be saying I can, because I know I can. Because whether or not it ends up being some Broadway Tony-winning performance, what I will say is that I will give it my all. I will give it my all until I can't give no more.
You better go ahead on, boy.
But I wanted to ask you specifically about this process, because we are there every week on a Zoom call rehearsing for this show alongside each other. And I wanted to ask you, How do you find that experience? How do you find going from rehearsing and bouncing ideas off of each other in a live space, sharing jokes, sharing those golden moments, to doing it over Zoom? How does it feel to you?
Well, I mean, you have to do what you have to do, right? So I would prefer to be in the theater, and because honestly, with the vibes that you get, how you bounce off of each other, the emotions that are transferred in person, in opposed to it being on Zoom, is a little harder. But and it can be tiresome because you're just sitting there for however long the rehearsal is on Zoom. You're not really moving around or doing anything. So that's a bit of, a downside of that. But again, we're on Act 2, so we're moving on. We're getting close to the end. And, like I say, I would prefer to be in the theater. So we'll just wait until we get there.
I think that's kind of the most important part, because we have such a varying cast. I mean, especially with COVID, people are, while it's now a bit more unclear about who it can target or really affect, it seems to be everyone, but they still say to watch out for people who are older, and we have some older cast members.
Yeah, and health conditions, people with health conditions. So
it does make things incredibly scary, but I feel like regardless of how we do this, we'll make it through it. But there are definitely some complications along the way. And this is a journey that as a whole is pushing us as a society to places we never thought we would go. And so I know it's been difficult for you, but one thing I wanted to mention to our listeners, to really show you the real reality of what life is right now for some of us. Alan mentioned in his interview that he has someone that he takes to dialysis 3 days a week, and you, Maliaka, have to deal with dialysis as well. So how is that through all of this?
Now, in the beginning, initially, it was very, 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 very horrifying, like horrifying, because of course I'm blind. So I don't know if the car has been disinfected. I don't know if the driver has on a mask or gloves or anything like that. I don't know, so, I mean, that initially was a problem for me. And so me being paranoid, I carried my disinfectant spray with me just to make sure, like, if you didn't do it, I'm going to do it. So I had my disinfectant spray. Greg sent me masks, which I'm very grateful for, because I go 3 days a week. So I'm out in public 3 days a week. And so that was very helpful. So I have my mask on and hand sanitizer. And I mean, I'm loaded when I go to dialysis in the mornings. But as the time, I guess more information was being released, a bit of the tension was, kind of settling down. But before the COVID-19, it is during our orientation, when you first start dialysis, they let you know that your immune system is impacted and that you have to be careful around people who have colds, and you have to make sure your hands are always washed, and things are sanitized. And this is before the COVID-19, because of our immune systems, we're prone to diseases. So with that, on top of the COVID-19 and the scare and all this, it was just petrifying. So, I mean, I'm okay now. The measurements that I'm taking is ensuring my sanity, but I mean, it's okay now for the time being.
I will say sanity is one of the hardest things to hold on to in this time.
I'm telling you, it is. There's so much going on.
And I didn't have much to begin with, so I guess that counts for something.
Well, we won't be able to tell.
I would hug you right now if I could. I love you a lot,
I
actually.
miss you, Coco.
I miss you too. But
Yeah, I
I
miss
will,
you.
I will also say I asked this question to Alan, and I forgot to ask it to Judy. I'm still kicking myself, but you know what? It made more than made up for it with the amount of information and rawness that Judy brought. I love her. But
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to ask you, amidst all the negativity and all the chaos, there's been a lot of things that I've noticed about the world right now that have just blown my mind in a positive way and have been so impactful to me that I want to cry. What are those moments to you? What have you seen or experienced that you really are thankful for in this time?
Um, in regards to the social, well, I'll say civil injustice. Um, I see every race, every gender coming together and worldwide, standing together for humanity. And so that actually warms my heart. I actually had a friend of mine who is white call me, and she just expressed her heart to me. She let me know that she was going to be there for me no matter what. I mean, even though she told me that she lost family and friends because of her taking a stand in regards to the Black Lives Matter. And that, I mean, I cried and cried and cried. And just that was just so just to hear someone that has no blood relation, um, you know, and is not obligated to really, she doesn't owe me anything personally, but for her to stand up for a Black community, it was a long time, coming. We've been praying for, and it's not to say that white people haven't been there for us, because they have. Even in slavery days, there were still white people there that were helping us escape. So there's always been, white people has always been there, but the majority, it just seemed like they just, I don't know what the hatred, where it came from, but it's just always been there. And just to see now that it seems it's not erased, but it seems like it's getting less, becoming less and less of an issue. When you look at biracial couples and, the children that are biracial, it just shows that race is not a color anymore. Well, let me back it up. Race is not so much of an issue anymore. And that, yeah, that in itself is beautiful. Like the world, we're all coming together. And like,
I think that you mentioned, like with your friend, I think this is both fortunate and unfortunate. It's the cold duality that's setting in nowadays. People are,
yeah,
and I mentioned to Alan, people are coming together like you've never seen them come together before. But at the same time, people are pushing each other apart like you've never seen people push each other apart before.
right. And like she mentioned that one of the people she had had a disagreement with is on the other side of history. She was older, and so, and didn't see anything wrong with what was going on in the world. Like, she didn't think anything was wrong. So, that generation, it seemed like it's dying out, and it's not to be mean or anything, but praise the Lord. They're kind of vanishing, and a new way of thinking is coming into play.
Yeah,
So,
it's kind of crazy, but that is just it. It's a new way of thinking. And
yeah.
I feel like I honestly, this has been just really one of the most insightful days I've ever had, because I find myself quoting previous interviews like they happened forever ago, but earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'd mentioned, and Judy and Alan both had mentioned, that the world is changing And the reason why this movement is exploding around the world is because we're not in a position to take a whole lot of crap anymore. People are wondering, why in 2020 do we have to say this? Why in 2020 should we even be saying Black Lives Matter? Because we're all on the same side, aren't we?
Well, yeah, the majority, yes. The majority,
Yeah,
yes.
and it's kind of crazy to think about that there are people in this world who still don't see that we should be fighting with each other, not at or against each other.
Right. Right. And that's what I mean. It's just it's like the like I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's totally fine. It'll come to you. And this is, again, this is beautiful. I honestly can say that I love every moment of this process. It's a sauna in here in my garage, and things are going a lot longer than I thought they would, but I'm not complaining. This is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess to bring up my own question then, just because I have to for my own curiosity, I know we already talked about artistically and creatively how you're feeling throughout all this time, but I wanted to go back to that just for 1 second, because first off, we got to the whole Black Lives Matter discussion a lot faster than every other interview. But I wanted to ask you, Maliaka, creatively, as a person, what has this whole situation taught you? Whether it be COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, the protests, whatever's happening in this world right now, creatively, what has that done to fuel you? What are you using this for?
I guess self-reflection for one, because of the COVID-19 and then the riots, so the curfews, was set in place. So because of that, we have a little more time to ourselves, and if you take the time wisely, it would allow you to see, your flaws, the ones that you can't actually change, right? So you sit, you examine yourself, you see things that you can change, you find things that you can develop, or a skill that can be developed. And so, like, I took lead from you. So when you made the statement that we were that you had started writing songs, so I took it upon myself. I didn't write songs, but I have written music. Well, not written music, but I've started to create music, my own original music on the bass. And so I have a song, but I got to work on it to get it all
we're all
together.
Constantly in the state of, I need to work on this. I wrote something recently as well, and I composed it with GarageBand for the first time ever. And I honestly, things are moving. So everything's in a constant state of, we're working on it.
Right. And well, that's one thing. And I actually was speaking with my counselor maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me that maybe, because I like to cook, and so he was saying maybe I should look back into some of my old recipes and try to get that together, or maybe make a few new recipes. So I did. And honestly, when I spoke to him this week, actually, when I spoke to him this week, he noticed a difference in my attitude, because I did, as a simple salad, but I did go back to some of my old recipes, and it revitalized me. So, like, just finding things that make me happy, stuff like that is pretty much, I have the time to do it now, you know what I mean? And things that I at one time didn't have time to actually do, I have time to do it now. I recently moved in January. And so, and during that time I was in a play, I forget the name of the play, Lord. Oh, Blind Talent.
Was it Blind Talent? Yes,
Blind Talent, yeah. So doing Blind Talent, moving, And then right after Blind Talent was over, literally the very next day, we started the Braille Legacy. So I really hadn't had the time, going back and forth to rehearsals, and I mean, just nonstop. I hadn't had the time to actually completely move or unpack, I should say. So I've been taking this time to do that as well. And I don't know. It's just, as far as creativity is concerned, like I said, I picked up my bass and started picking and made a little rhythm, got a little rhythm going, and I'm going to work on it. So, I mean, and then, like I say, cooking is an art, and just coming up with new, what do you call it? Oh, and I'm actually redecorating my living room right now in the midst of all that. So, yeah. So yeah,
Then,
I guess,
then the second I can come over, I'm going to. Gotta see this
yes,
living room.
yes, because I'm redecorating it. I'm changing the colors. Right now, it's more of earth tones, but I'm changing it to. I have a gray couch, and I'm changing it to blue, and I want to use mustard yellow. And so that's what I'm working on right now, as far as creativity is concerned.
Dude, that sounds amazing. I have been, well, we as a family have been doing a ton of redecorating. We completely remodeled the backyard, the garage, a few interior
Wow.
pieces. We've got a lot happening right now. That's why I'm in here right now, even though it's a sauna, because I wanted to record and not disturb anyone while they were working. So this has become like my middle of the day practice space. So there's a lot happening here. And I think it's personally amazing. So I guess to wrap things up a bit before I do my outro and get everything squared away, I wanted to ask you, Maliaka, same thing I've asked everyone else. If you had one sentence to share with the rest of the world right now as a piece of advice, what would it be? Judy said, keep the faith. And Alan said, keep your eyes and ears open to the ways to love people. But what would you say? What is Malika's great piece of advice for the world?
Well, I would say, whether you believe it or not, Jesus is coming back.
Whether you
Comma.
believe it or not, Jesus is
Jesus is
coming back.
coming back. Wait. I'm not finished. I know you said one sentence, but this is me. This is Maliaka, okay? Jesus is coming back, comma, please give your heart to Christ.
Please give your heart to Christ.
Boom.
I love you, darling. Love you a lot.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And this isn't even goodbye. I'm going to see you in like a minute. I'm just going to go take
Yeah.
a break to coexist with the world and coexist with some food. And then I'm going to see you in like a minute. So this isn't even goodbye. But
no, it isn't. And I'm glad, because I'm giving me a few Z's in. I haven't got my nap after dialysis yet.
Oh, yeah. So then grab yourself a power nap, please.
Yes. And I will see you in rehearsal.
See you in rehearsal, darling. Love ya.
I love you too. Thank you so much for thinking about me, Coco.
You're honestly welcome. I think about everyone. I love people, almost to a fault, but I love people.
Help me for the interview, crazy boy.
There you have it. There we have it. There I have it. There the world has it. These were interviews from people that I know personally, that I've worked with and have been able to call my friends, but who really are more than that, who really show us as a society that life does not get put on pause just because, that creativity doesn't stop, and that love doesn't stop. Love knows no limits. These are people who have really touched me today. This was beautiful. This was life altering. I learned a lot from these people, and I really hope you guys too. And just from the bottom of my heart, I can say thank you. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to what these people had to say, for what I had to say, and for what someone else might have to say down the line. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving throughout this difficult time. We're going to make it through this, through everything, through anything, because we're not about to let anyone tell us we can't. We're not about to let anyone slow us down. Where some people see disabilities, we see distinct abilities. Where some people see useless or worthless, we see useful and worthwhile. We see everyone living together, loving together, and creating together. Create, reflect, empower. That's what CRE stands for. And that's why, even if I wasn't a part of any of these programs, I would be behind CRE every step of the way, because art is not limited. Mastery of the art. Wow, look at me quoting The Last Airbender, still one of the best TV shows ever. Mastery of the art belongs to us all. To quote Master Piandao, I'm a nerd. Either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day, week, month, year, life. Have an amazing everything. Take care, you guys. I love you all.